was founded in 1614. It's the year that Suleiman Pasha Muleti built a mosque, later to be destroyed during World War II, a bakery, and a hammam. Some old photographs of the city show the Palace of Culture. It's built on the site of the old Bazaar of Tirana, and the cornerstone was laid by Nikita Khrushchev in 1959. The city of Tirana is mentioned for the first time in a document of the Republic of Venice, dated 1418. Two of the oldest neighborhoods were Mujo and Bazaar. As a capital since 1920, its most distinctive elements are the Palace of Culture, Hotel Tirana International, National Museum, Bank of Albania, and the Clock Tower. This should be the Clock Tower, a symbol of Tirana and the emblem of the municipality. It is built in 1830 in carved stone and wood with a spiral staircase of 90 stairs and stands 35 meters high. Until 1970, it was the tallest building in the city. The first bell was brought from Venice and tolled every hour. Haji Ethan Bey started to construct the Clock Tower, but construction was complete after the richest families of Tirana contributed. This is the emblem of the municipality since the year 2000. It derives from the emblem of the Skurai family, ruler of the city during the Middle Ages. Traces of this emblem are found in stones near Daiti Mountain. It shows the clock tower and a crown made of 3 towers, the latter being a common symbol of emblems of the cities. The Italian-style architecture that is still visible dates back to the years 1920 to 1940, when Ahmed Zogu, the king back then, commissions Italian architects De Fausto and Brassini to draft projects of parks and gardens in Tirana so that the city becomes more aristocratic. In addition to the rational architecture and city planning, the Italians paid tribute to the Albanian psychology and tradition related to private property. Tirana is 17 kilometers from the only international airport in the country, Rinus. It's the biggest economic, administrative, political, industrial, academic, social, and cultural center. You can see the Rinia Park among the administrative buildings along the boulevard. This 29-hectare park is built in the 1950s. Every 14th of March, it hosts the celebrations of Summer Day, which represents the end of winter. Right in the middle of the park, I see the 60-year-old Taiwan, a restaurant named after the relations between Albania and China, as Albania was the first country to recognize the independence of Taiwan. In Tirana, you can travel by bus, or you can take a taxi. Instead, I rented a bicycle after paying a modest sum of money and showing my ID. Several stations like this are part of a green initiative launched by a group of young people. I start my promenade along the Lana River, a branch of Tirana River. It's 29 kilometers long, flowing through the city, and at the end, meeting the river Ishmi. In the 40s, given that only the first part of the urban regulatory plan was executed, namely the buildings of ministries, the foundations were set for renovating projects south of the Lana. Architects Gerardo Bossia and Gio Ponti, world-renowned for their modern European style, were the ones to design the official headquarters of the King's Vice-Regent in Albania, the building of the Prime Minister today. During the war, this building was used as the administrative headquarters and, in its last months, as a military hospital due to the lack of space for the treatment of wounded German soldiers. Since April 1945, the Communist Party decided that this building would be the basis of government. The building of the Prime Minister's office and that of Parliament are opposite one another. They're built in the style of monumental rationalism with a touch of fascist ideology in its architecture. The Dictatorship Memorial, also known as the Post Bloco installation, was erected in March 2013. The monument consists of 3 historic buildings: a bunker, symbol of communist dictatorship, concrete pillars brought there from Spača prison, known as the Albanian Auschwitz, and a piece of the Berlin Wall that symbolized Albania's isolation from the rest of the world. In my stroll along the boulevard, a particular building emerges in front of me. It's the Palace of Congresses. It looks like a modern combination of blue glass with 1,000 windows of Barat or Girocaster with its radial sides, angled windows, etc. It was regarded as an architectural achievement of the 1980s. Facing the presidential building. This is the southeastern extreme of the boulevard. Nana Teresa Boulevard consists of buildings of the Academy of Arts, the Academic House of Stage, Visual, and Musical Arts. Polytechnic University, built in 1957 as a borderline between the park surrounding the artificial lake and the Tirana urban life, standing as an architectural symbol of the city, and the Archaeological Museum. This boulevard has welcomed protests, the Pope, demonstrations, and since 2015, it welcomes only pedestrians. Behind it, there's Cem Mustafa Stadium, inaugurated in 1946 for the Balkan Cup, won that year by Albania. It can accommodate 19,700 spectators for sports events, until 2016 at least, when it will be brought down to make place for a new one. The Archaeological Museum you cannot miss. The ancient Illyrian history must be documented in this institution that dates back to 1948 and counts about 18,000 objects, including sculptures and fine artifacts of the Stone Age and the Metal Age, when the Illyrian civilization was born and developed. It also shows the early and late antiquity and the medieval period up to the Ottoman conquest. This is the first museum established after World War II. Organized in 5 rooms, this museum presents the archaeological searches and findings from the entire territory of Albania. The National Arts Gallery extends over 5,003 square meters. Since its opening in 1946, it has hosted around 4,100 works of art of Albanian and foreign authors spanning from the 13th century to today. Murat Toptani Street is called the heart of Tirana. Right here, east, west, south, and north meet. It's also been the old station of the historic Egnatia Road. Here you see the Byzantine remains of Justinian's castle of 520 AD, also known as the Tirana Castle. The castle has 3 towers and a vivid life within the enclosure with restaurants, hotels, and cultural institutions. Tirana began to develop in the 16th century with some workshops that processed silk, cotton, leather, ceramics, metals, and others. The first neighborhood of Tirana was Bami. Tirana only had 25,000 inhabitants until 1838, while today it counts more than 1 million. This seems to be the area with the most historical imprints. Here is the Tabak Bridge. Built in 1614 to connect the 2 sides of Lana, where leather workers called Tabakan carried on with their craft. The cobbled footpath is 2.5 meters wide, built with river stones laid haphazardly to raise it to 3.5 meters from the water level. It's evidence of the development of the city and increased communication within inner areas. I'll easily continue my journey toward the southeast. 18 kilometers from the center of Tirana, there's Petrela village. This area is known for medicinal plants. Petrela Castle rises at the foothill, a medieval castle built during the reign of Byzantine Emperor Justinian I in the 4th century AD. He built this fortress as part of the defense system of the empire. It took its current shape in the 13th century under the rule of Topia, and later ownership passed to the Castrioti family. The castle rises from the rocky hill and has a triangular shape with its spotting tower. Inside, it still preserves objects that are a testimony of life back then. For its construction, well-baked bricks were used and waterproofing mortar that served for plastering. Constructions inside the castle were made during 6 different periods, as clearly stated by the construction techniques used. The castle is built on a very steep slope, even rugged on the south and southeast side, making it very secure. It was raised at 329 meters, mainly for military purposes. Petrela Castle served to control the Egnatia Road along the Durrës-Tirana-Elbasan segment, particularly important at the time. And the first emblem of the Topia family on one side of the wall is still preserved. Today, there's a restaurant inside the castle that offers a spectacular view of the Urzeni Valley, olive trees, and surrounding mountains. It is said that in clear weather, the Petrela, Preza, and Krui castles could spot smoke signals they used for military communication among them during the Ottoman invasion, when it was governed by Mamica Castrioti, the sister of national hero Skanderbeg. Atop the Petrela Castle, you can easily see Preza Castle, even this owned by the Topia family. Since 1500, this castle was built with 4 towers, one being the clock tower. Years later, a mosque was built inside as a symbol of religious affiliation. Situated close to the airport, this is another cultural monument at the outskirts of Tirana. Inside the restaurant, one can enjoy the view of Tirana Air Traffic Plateau. After a long day around the attractions of Tirana, the pleasure of Mediterranean cuisine is what you need. Albanian cuisine is considered very diverse, with the influence of invaders, tourists, and host countries of Albanian immigrants. Albanians are fans of good food, and for visitors as well, the kitchen is one of the values they rush to taste. The multitude of bars and restaurants is an indication of that. Following the local tip, I decided to go to the opera this evening. The first play staged on the Opera and Ballet Theater is Rusalka in 1953. This is the stage where the ballet troupe, the symphonic orchestra, and the national ensemble perform. The artistic season usually kicks off in October and lasts until May. Tirana is a happy spirit that rarely stops. Bustling streets turn into a spectacle of lights and people in their get-together social rituals. Afternoons are the best option for socialization. Streets are swamped with people walking, sitting in bars, or having snacks. One of the most famous habits here is beer with meatballs. These bars providing light meals are typically found anywhere. As the Albanian tradition goes, people get together to meet and get updated about each other's lives. If you visit Tirana, you can hardly not hear about Bloku. Bloku is the liveliest area of Tirana. It's the known place of entertainment for young people. Bars, pubs, restaurants, shops, and discos are located in this area, composed of one main street and 4 alleys that intersect among them. I must just choose where to have a cocktail or a beer with high music to close my tourist day. puzzling Albanian habits is the domestic currency, the lek. They read it with an extra zero than written. So, a 500 lek banknote is massively read as 5,000 lek. This is a habit that's gone on for 50 years. The name of the currency makes honor to Alexander the Great, with the abbreviation in Albanian as leka. For the first time, Albania had a central bank in 1913. The building of the Bank of Albania was designed by the famous Italian architect Vittorio Marpurgo. Bank of Albania serves as a center of the junction of two important streets, Kavaja Street and Durrës Street. Look, meatballs again. Come on, I must try them today. The National Historical Museum is another place to be visited. It exhibits weapons in World War II and most importantly, all the original works by Onufri. You must not leave Tirana without taking any souvenirs typical of this country. Made from metal, wood, stone, wool, or embroidery, the art of souvenirs demonstrates the Balkan influence. Çeleş is some kind of fez hat made of wool, whose form indicates the province one comes from. The vests are a work of art, with precious knitting and embroidery. Popular costumes differ from one province to another, with distinctions being in the handwork and elements of the costume. The most decorated parts are the vest and the jamadans of the festive costumes. Albanian men wore different silver jewelry, mostly waist and arm weapons, always richly adorned. The lake park is the lungs of Tirana. About 265 hectares make up this entertainment destination that includes the artificial lake, the aquadrome pools, the botanical gardens, and panoramic places. The park is dedicated to pedestrians and bicycles only. Throughout the day, you see people jogging, walking, making sports, sunbathing, or fishing. In broad daylight, I happened on an event at the Summer Amphitheater, or what's left of it. Built in 1974, it was designed as an outside theater under the influence of the Soviet Union. The lake park to the east of it leads to the state and academic authorities and Mother Albania Monument, 12 meters high near the National Martyrs Cemetery since 1971. Beyond the cemetery lie the outskirts and villages of Tirana, where agriculture has created a geometric harmony between fields and lakes. Farka Lake is a family destination famous for sports, boating, picnics, etc. With an area 4 times larger than the artificial lake, it has turned into an elite residential area over the past years. People are very friendly and offer the opportunity to enjoy a ride on the lake with different vessels, from the simplest to the motorized ones. A few kilometers from Tirana, in the Daidi mountain, there's one of the 6 most renowned karst caves in Europe. Palumba's cave is one of the earliest dwelling places in the Neolithic era. A 70-meter-long tunnel is located 350 meters above sea level. Traces of this cave prove the existence of ancestors 10,000 years ago. This cave was originally visited by specialists in 1995. People believe that this cave was endless, To reach the cave, you must walk a 40-minute distance from the village of Palumbas. The cave has formed numerous paths along millions of years where varieties of stalactites and stalagmites have been formed. A few kilometers away is Palumbas village, which I plan to visit and see from inside the fields. Tirana people have a reputation for quality, so old Tirana households never buy something at the market without trying first to make it at home. This applies to pepperoni and vegetables, fruit trees, wine grapes, and raki. Agriculture specialists believe that the Albanian Balisk was the variety of grape that is the ancestor of vineyards planted in Bordeaux. It was taken from Duras of today, which brought to light the famous Bordeaux wine. Tirana area is known for the wine variety Sheshizi. Wine in this area is produced at closed cycle, from vine to the glass, as a small family business. Wine consumption in Albania is 7 liters per capita annually. To reach the next destination on my list of places to see in Tirana, I have to take a taxi. Tirana Highland is an area quite visited by visitors. Between the Daiti Mountain and the Kraba Ridge, a natural spectacle unfolds. Perhaps because it's chosen to be still in touch with nature, away from the surrounding modernization. Among mountains with which connections is ensured by modest bridges and amidst a fantastical natural landscape, here is the Shenjerji waterfall. The rainy season is the best period to visit this waterfall. Although not so accessible, visitors are never rare enjoying outdoor activities or the restaurants famous for their abundance or quality of food. Tirana is one of the cities with its typical cuisine based on meat, dairy, spices, and land products. Each animal of the food chain represents an event for Tirana families. Turkey is a symbol of New Year's celebrations. Chicken or roosters are slaughtered in honor of a guest. Lamb and baby goat is used for major celebrations such as weddings and births. Meat cooking has a theory on its own in Albania. Slaughtering and meat preparation is done anatomically to respect divisions and form. Grilled meat is a tradition that still continues today. Meatballs are believed to be the culinary element that unites all the Balkan countries, like the pie or raki. Albania, as a Mediterranean country, has dedicated a special art to cooking bread and dough products. It comes in all forms, thereof the most famous being the wheat or cornbread and kulach. Tirana tava is the culinary emblem. It's made of cheese cream, tomato, meat, and spices. It strikes me that Tirana buildings seek to be of stone and tower-shaped, with small windows and surrounding wall to block sight from the outside. The street leads me to Daiti Mountain, 1,613 meters altitude at the foot of Tirana. Its top can be reached by car, cable car, or on a long journey by foot. It's thought that its vegetation is composed of 26 species of trees. The fun you can find visiting the national park includes horseback rides, shooting tables, nature hiking, and local sports. I chose the panoramic cableway to return to the city. Tirana is a very smooth combination of modern and old neighborhoods. Or the New Bazaar is one of the oldest neighborhoods of Tirana. Since old times, it was a sales center in Tirana, as suggested by the Turkish name Pazar. Today, it's one of the main markets selling fruit and vegetables and quality products. Here I found old handcrafts and pieces of Albanian artistic handwork. It's thought that the first buildings in Tirana were in the actual area from Vari Bamit up to the mall. This area still retains small one-story houses and the cobblestone alleys, red-tiled roofs and clay walls as a sign of fanaticism of inhabitants to distinguish between authentic Tirans and newcomers. Religious harmony is one of the Albanian values. Here they are some official religions: Sunni Muslim, Bektashi, Helvetite, Catholics, Orthodox, and Protestant. Tirana is the world capital of the Bektashi religion since 1925, when the Bektashi were detained and expelled from Turkey, while the Albanian autocephaly was officially recognized in 1937. Churches and mosques in Tirana are not only religious icons, but also symbols of respect for diversity. I cannot leave without tasting the tradition of the Albanian visit. Tirana's homes keep copper vessels once used for cooking and maintain the tradition of winter reserves and certainly raki. Albanian traditional drink is defined by the fruit from which it's distilled: plum, grape, blackberry, or whiteberry. It usually contains 40% alcohol. The visitor is treated with something sweet to eat, something to drink, and the serving is completed with a Turkish coffee. My visit ends where it started, at Skanderbeg Square. In the middle, the statue of the national hero, Skanderbeg, celebrates its 500th anniversary. So long, Tirana.